Everybody. Today I want to talk about the Ten Commandments, which were given twice and recorded twice in the Old Testament. First time is Exodus 22 to 17, and the second time is Deuteronomy 5, 6 to 21. And so again, the first time they're recorded, they're in Exodus chapter 20, verses 2 to 17. And the second one is Deuteronomy chapter 5, verses 6 to 21. Now, in Exodus 20 to 17, there are actually 14, but that's a whole another topic for another video. And what I want to talk about and draw your attention to is the fact that first, according to, let's say, 99% of Christian scholars and Christian teachers and Christian gurus, the Ten Commandments are to be considered as absolute. In other words, they're not subject to interpretation. I'm going to quote just one of the myriad of the thousands of examples where you can just do a web search and you'll find the claims that the Ten Commandments are still valid in the New Testament. Let's say, here's one example, just a sample example from lifehopeandtruth.com, which says, are the Ten Commandments upheld in the New Testament? And then it says, were God's Ten Commandments abolished in the New Testament, or does the New Testament continue to teach and uphold all 10 Commandments? And the answer is that in the New Testament, many scriptures in the New Testament show that Jesus and the apostles upheld the 10 Commandments, not as ceremonial legalism or as a way to earn salvation, but as essential laws to govern a Christian's life. Many scriptures show that every one of the 10 Commandments is reinforced in the New Testament. Again, any one of the 10 Commandments is reinforced in the New Testament. Now, I'm going to prove with the Bible. In other words, this is not my argument. This is what the Bible says. And I'm going to prove with the Bible that I would say 99.99% of the Christians will not be saved. And it's very simple, and I'm going to explain why. The first commandment goes as follows: I am the Lord your God. You shall have no other gods before me. You shall not make for yourself an image in the form of anything, blah, blah. You shall not misuse the name of the Lord your God, or you shall not take in vain the name of the Lord your God. And then the fourth one would be, remember the Sabbath day to keep it holy. 6 days you shall labor and do all your work, but the seventh day is a Sabbath to the Lord your God. On it you shall not do any work, neither you nor your son, blah, blah, blah. For in 6 days the Lord made the heavens and the earth, the sea, and all that's in them, but he rested on the seventh day. Therefore the Lord blessed the Sabbath day and made it holy. Now, I'd like to remind and draw attention to the fact that, as a matter of fact, most Christians think that the original of the Bible was written in English, which is not. The Old Testament is in Aramaic, New Testament is in Greek. And so the translation in English of the Bible is as follows. Normally it's used, the verb shall is used, but the verb shall is in the sense of must, because these commandments, I don't think anybody would dispute this, are to be considered obligatory. In other words, mandatory. That's why they're commandments. This is like a law, a constitution. And so in all of the Ten Commandments, it's the verb shall that is used, but it's in the sense of must. I don't think anybody can argue that shall is in the sense of like thou shall or you shall, in the sense of like you may. It's not may, it's shall, like must. You must. You must not have any other gods before me. You must not make for yourself an image in the form of anything in the heaven above, on the earth beneath. You must not bow down to them or worship them, blah, 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 blah. You must not take the name of the Lord your God in vain. And then we come to the fourth commandment. And it's the same, remember, it's the same verb, thou shalt, which is in the sense of the must. You must. And it's, remember that it's in the imperative. All these 10 commandments, or 14 in the case of Exodus, are imperative, and they're absolute, and they're not subject to interpretation, all the 10 commandments. But I want to draw your attention specifically to the fourth commandment, which again is imperative, and it states, remember the Sabbath day by keeping it holy, or to keep it holy. 6 days you shall labor. Some translations render it, thou shall work 6 days, or thou shall labor 6 days and do all your work. But the seventh day is the Sabbath of the Lord your God. On it you shall not. In other words, you must not do any work. Now, many have not given thought of this, and many have not thought or analyzed the 10 Commandments to reach the conclusion that it's obligatory, according to the Bible, to work 6 days. I will repeat, God states in the fourth commandment that it's not optional. It's obligatory to work 6 days and not less, and to rest on the seventh day. Most Christians, they tap dance and they say, well, that's optional. And why would that be optional? Because it's the same verb shall used or must used in all other 9 commandments. Moreover, it says you must not work on the seventh day. So why would half of the commandment be optional, second half be obligatory? It makes absolutely no sense, because it's the same verb. The first one is imperative in the affirmative, the second one is imperative in the negative. Thou shalt and thou shalt not, or you must not. And most Christians, they don't think about the fact that it's obligatory, mandatory. It's a must for them to work 7 days. And if they happen to not work 7 days per week, they're violating the fourth commandment. And according to 99.99% of the scholars, the 10 commandments are actually like a monolith. They're one thing. If you break one commandment, you break all the commandments. And even Jesus confirmed that. And so if you break one commandment, you break the entire 10 commandments. And so they continue breaking the commandment throughout the entirety of their lives. And so it logically follows from the Bible that they will not be saved. In other words, they will fully violate the 10th commandment. They interpret it however it suits them. And according to the Bible, they will not be saved. It's just that simple. It logically follows. You cannot take all the 9 commandments plus half of the fourth commandment as literal and as a must, but take just half portion of the fourth commandment as optional. Thank you.